Eh. All right. Part two. We are getting to the first station now. And on page so on page 23, I had a passage on a little seagoing steamer, and the Swedish dude, so this is another European, is the captain, and he's the guy taking Marlowe to the boat that he's going to ride. Been living there, I asked. I said, yes. Fine lot these government chaps are they not? He went on, speaking English with great precision and considerable bitterness, right? Now, fine lot of chaps these people are. That's a sarcastic comment, right? It's funny what some people will do for a few francs a month. I wonder what becomes of that kind when they go up the country. Now, it's funny what people do for a few francs a month. And what we'll see very quickly in this first station is that what people will do for a few francs a month is be abusive and enslave people, right? Now, going on page 24 and 25, we get a lot of different jobs that are going on, and all the way up through 27, actually. So on page 24, it says, first of all, I came upon a boiler wallowing in the grass, then found a path leading up a hill. It turned aside for the boulders and also for an undersized railway truck lying there on its back with its wheels in the air. One was off. The thing looked as dead as the carcass of some animal. I came upon more pieces of decaying machinery and a stack of rusty rails. I saw a horn tooted to the right, a heavy and dull detonation shook the ground, and a puff of smoke came out of the cliff, and that was all. No change appeared in the face of the rock. They were building a railway. The cliff was not in the way or anything, but this objectless blasting was the work that was going on. Now, if you're looking for evidence about this book being anti-colonialism, one of the good things you can do is show how ridiculous what the European people are doing. Ridiculous and cruel. So first of all, we have, this train and the boiler. It's all the machinery is kind of tipped over and rusting, right? They're blowing up a big face in the rock that they're going to build a railway through, like a railroad, but it's not going anywhere. The railroad tracks don't go anywhere. And where would the railroad tracks go to anyway? Um, now, going on, in the middle of page 25, this is where Marlowe starts to try to kind of keep reality away from him, right? And not pay attention to what's going on in front of him. So it said, it was the same kind of ominous voice, but these men could by no stretch of imagination be called enemies. They were called enemies, and the outraged law, like the bursting shells, had come to them, the insoluble mystery over all of it. Now, the people who are working there, Europeans, are calling the people from Africa criminals. They call them devils. They call them all these really negative things because once you label somebody as that, then it allows you to do whatever you want to them, right? If you set someone up to be less than human, or doing something really bad, then they deserve whatever treatment they get, right? Some more ridiculous things going on here. Um, let's see. On the bottom of 26, top of 27, I avoided a vast artificial hole somebody had been digging in the slope, the purpose of which I found it impossible to divine. Now, so far, he almost fell into a big hole, and someone had just dug a big hole there. It was just a hole. It might have been connected with the philanthropic desire of giving the criminal something to do. Now, philanthropy, or the philanthropic desire, is giving of charitable stuff to people to make their lives better, right? So, someone could have had one of the people from Africa dig the hole because it was nice and gave them something to do, right? Now, this is ridiculous and cruel, and if you're looking for evidence about why the book is against colonialism, that would be good. Going on down the bottom of page 27, we get some more of that. They were dying slowly, it was clear. They were not enemies, they were not criminals, they were nothing earthly now. Um, and so what he sees is all these people who have been very mistreated. They're starving, they've been worked to death, right? Um, Now, on page 29, Marlowe meets the accountant, right? Now, this is the first European person, and I think that this is very sarcastic, the description Marlowe gives of him. But there is something about him that Marlowe appreciates, because Marlowe likes things to be the way they are supposed to be. He wants to see things that he was told he's going to see when he gets to Africa by the people in Europe. I met a white man in such unexpected elegance of get-up that in the first moment I took him for a sort of vision. I saw a high starched collar, white cuffs, a light alpaca jacket, snowy trousers, a clear silk necktie, and varnished boots. No hat, hair parted, oil brushed under a green lined parasol held by his big white hand. He was amazing, and he had a pen holder behind his ear. I shook hands with this miracle. Now, the reason Marlowe likes this guy, and he's being sarcastic and calling him a miracle, is that this guy, even in the middle of the jungle, has his hair slicked. He's got his collars starched right so that the collar's really, stiff, I guess. And he's wearing freshly laundered white shirt. And in the middle of the jungle, you're going to be sweating. right? And you're not going to wear this stuff. But in terms about bringing civilization and colonizing, this is what people in Europe thought that the people in Europe were do in Africa to make life better for them, right? And Marlowe likes when things look the way they're supposed to, and when he finds what he expects to find, and this is one of those instances, right? Now, the guy is cruel and terrible, and on page 30 he goes on, moreover, I respected the fellow. Yes, I respected his collars, his vast cuffs, his brushed hair. His appearance was certainly that of a hairdresser's dummy, but in the great demoralization of the land he kept the appearances up. That's backbone. Okay. Now, on page 31, we go on a little bit as we go into the accountant's office, and the accountant is focused on the facts and figures and making money, right? There was no need to open the big, this is the bottom of 30, top of 31. There was no need to open the big shutter to see. It was too hot in there too. It was hot there too. Big flies buzzed fiendishly, did not sting but stabbed. I sat generally on the floor, while a faultless appearance and even slightly scented, he's got cologne on, perching on the high stool, he wrote. When a truckle bed with a sick man was some invalided agent from up country was put in there, he exhibited gentle annoyance. The groans of this sick person, he said, distract my attention, and without that it is extremely difficult to guard against clerical errors in this climate. So he's annoyed that they put one of the European dudes who's dying in there because he's dying too loudly, right? He wants the guy to shut up and stop groaning and moaning. One day, he remarked, without lifting his head, in the interior you will no doubt meet Mr. Kurtz. Now, interior is one of those double meaning words, right? Interior will mean the inner station, right? So the interior of our company, that's where you'll meet him. But also, in the interior, you will meet him, right? The changes take place on the inside. Then it said, on my asking who Mr. Kurtz was, he said he was a first-class agent, and seeing my disappointment in this information, he added slowly, laying down his pen, he is a very remarkable person. Now, remarkable is another one of those little hidden meaning words. Remarkable could be something really good. It could be something really bad. Sorry for moving this. Um, or it could just be something to remark upon. Something that deserves talking about. So he's not really passing a judgment on Mr. Kurtz here, but he's just saying Mr. Kurtz is someone that you will want that you will talk about, that we will all talk about. Now, going on page 32, he continues on, and it said, when you see Mr. Kurtz, he went on, tell him for me that everything here, he glanced at the desk, is very satisfactory. I don't like to write to him. With those messengers of ours, you never know who may get a hold of your letter at that central station. He stared at me for a moment with his mild, bulging eyes. Now, I want you to remember those mild, bulging eyes once we get to the Russian dude that is friends with Mr. Kurtz. It's the same idea. Oh, he will go very, very far, he began. He will be somebody in this administration before long. They, above, the Council of Europe, mean to him. It said he turned back to his work. The noise outside had ceased, and presently, going in and out, I stopped at the door. In the steady buzz of flies, the homeward bound agent was lying flushed and insensible. The other, bent over his books, was making correct entries of perfectly correct transactions, and 50 feet below the doorstep I could see the treetops of the Grove of Death. Now, one or two other quick things. So this is when they are getting ready to go to the second station. They've been hiking now on page. The next day, I left the station at last with a caravan of 60 men for the 200-mile tramp. Now, so they walk. Perhaps on some quiet night, the tremor of far-off drums, sinking, swelling, a tremor, vast, faint, a sound weird, appealing, suggestive, and wild, and perhaps with a profound a meaning as the sound of bells in a Christian country. Once a white man in an unbuttoned uniform, camping on the path with the armed escort, was looking after the upkeep of the road, he declared. So as they go, they keep walking, and in the middle of this march, Marlowe on page 34 makes a speech. It said, so one evening, I made a speech just in English with gestures, not one of which was lost to the 60 pairs of eyes before me, and the next morning I started the hammock off in front of us, all right. So he screamed at these people with big hand gestures in English. Now, he's like, they understood everything I was saying, but if someone is screaming at you in a language that you do not know, likely you were not understanding much of it. And so as they start to hike the next day, they are carrying the big dude, the big European dude, some of the African people are, and they drop him. right? And so after an hour afterwards, I came upon the whole concern wrecked in a bush. Man, hammock, groans, blankets, horrors. The heavy pole had skinned his poor nose. He was very anxious for me to kill somebody, and there wasn't a shadow of a carrier near. I remember the old doctor, right? So as he sees this, the European dude who had been carried under under an umbrella, and he was dumped in the bushes, and he's yelling at Marlowe to kill somebody. He thinks back to the doctor, thinking about the changes which take place inside, and Marlowe's starting to have these changes take place inside. He's starting to lose his sanity a little bit. It would be interesting for the science to watch the mental changes of individuals on the spot. I felt I was becoming scientifically interesting because he's starting to change, right? Um, so that's it for today. That's a shorter one today. So tomorrow, and I hope you keep reading Things Fall Apart at home. It's an easier book, and I think once you read that one, because Things Fall Apart is basically the flipped story of Heart of Darkness, right? And we're going to read a little essay from Chinua Achebe, the author of Things Fall Apart, as your critical essay for this book, and he's very pretty much against this book. So, anyway, that's it for today. I hope things are going well at home. I hope everyone's staying healthy and well, washing your hands a lot. And again, as always, if you have any questions, please email me or call, and I will talk to you tomorrow.